Hey, what's up YouTube? It's abluegolfball here today with another Pokemon TCG video, and today I will be ranking my top 10 favorite Stage 2 Pokemon cards from the Black and White era. Coming in at number 10, we have Dragonite, the 150 HP Dragon-type Pokemon from Plasma Freeze. It has the attack Deafen. Your opponent can't play item cards from his or her hand during their next turn. It hits for 60 damage, and so right here, if you're playing against, say, Team Plasma Pokemon back in the day and Zero Stick didn't exist yet, you can actually hit him for Deafen and throw on a Silver Mirror. And then you're basically up against a Team Plasma deck that can't do anything to your Dragonite. So that's it for Dragonite coming in here at number 10. At number 9, we have Uniclus, the 90 HP Psychic Pokemon. It was reprinted in Dragons Exalted as a secret rare. It's got the ability Damage Swap. And the attack you probably never use for Psywave, but Damage Swap was such a good ability, being able to move damage counters from on your side of the field and to any other Pokemon that you want. And just have a really good ability to manipulate damage, and I think it really deserves a spot here on my top 10 list. At number 8, we have Gothitelle, the 130 HP Psychic Pokemon, and this Pokemon was a great card to use in those lock decks back in the day before Trevenant existed. And Magic Room, the ability here, as long as your Pokemon is active, your opponent can't play any item cards, and so we have things like Violet Plume in the past that shut down item cards for both players, but Gothitelle was kind of, really good for Exceligor to hit and run and push Gothitelle into the active spot and lock your opponent from playing any item cards. And yeah, especially with Floatstone, it was able to retreat for free and stuff like that. So before Trevenant existed, Gothitelle had the Magic Room. Coming in at number 7, we have Hydreigon, the 150 HP Dragon Pokemon from Dragons Exalted. Now I have this placed here at number 7, and it does basically the same thing as Clank from the original base set of Black and White. So, Clank does appear next in this list, and I thought, since they do virtually the same thing, it would be pretty much a tie, but I like Hydreigon a little bit more. It's got the ability Dark Trance as often as you like during your turn before your attack. You may move a Darkness Energy attached to one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. So this is basically Fairy Transfer, and you can move things like Rainbow Energies, Prism Energy onto basics. Of course, you can move Blend Energies and the basic Darkness Energies. And Hydreigon here just had a great ability to be able to move energies around and then play Max Potion to heal everything off. So definitely deserving of a spot here on my top 10 list from the Black and White era. Coming in at number 6, as mentioned earlier, we have Clank here, the 140 HP Metal-type Pokemon from Plasma Storm. It's got the ability Plasma Steel, prevent all damage done to your Pokemon, your Metal Pokemon, by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. We're never really going to attack with Silver or Heavy Bullet, but Plasma Steel is such a great ability to protect your Metal-type Pokemon. We even saw some success in recent times in the 2015 US Nationals with Clank here, the deck having him in there, making it to the top 8. So Clank is a really, really nice card to have for being a Metal type, and definitely deserving of being on top 10 here on my list, coming in at number 6. Number 5, we have Garchomp. And this was originally printed in Dragons Exalted, was reprinted as a secret rare in Plasma Freeze. The 140 HP Dragon Pokemon has some really good attacks here. Number 1 is Mach Cut. It also discards a special energy attached to the defending Pokemon and hits for 60. And we saw this guy teamed up with Altaria a number of times to have like 4 Altarias in play, boosting his attack by 40 or by 80 really, and then having a Muscle Band boosting by 100. You can hit for 160 for just a single energy, which is incredible. And if you want to do even more damage, you can hit for an extra 40 damage, which can hit up potentially 200 damage. Discarding the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck is insanely good for only 2 energy, and especially with the help support from Dragon types with the double Dragon energy, this Garchomp got just a little bit better, especially in the expanded format. Coming in at number 4, we have Emboar, the 150 HP Fire-type Pokemon. I definitely like this card. I used it in my own city tournaments before, and the ability Inferno Fandangle was really well pleased, really well liked, and definitely seen its play partnered up with Rayquaza EX, since once the rotation happened during that season of the 2013-2014 season when Electric was rotated out, Emboar stepped up to the plate, stepped up to the challenge to basically be the counterpart to the Blastoise and Deluge. So with Inferno Fandangle, as often as you like during your turn before your attack, you can attach a Fire Energy card from your hand to your Pokemon, and you can do that as many times as you want. If you have 10 Fire Energies and you get Emboar out in play, you can just drop 10 Fire Energies in any way you like. Coming in at number 3, we have the one and only, the legendary Dusknoir here. The 130 HP Psychic Pokemon is weak to Darkness and has to retreat, so it's pretty heavy pretty costly for the retreat. It was reprinted in Plasma Blast, but originally printed in Boundaries Crossed. It's got the ability to Sinister Hand as often as you like during your turn. Before your attack, you can move one damage counter from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of your opponent's Pokemon. So this is another one of those cards where I kind of wish, you know, alternatively, what they could have done was for the rotation was to have it to be, you know, Plasma Blast onward. That would have been pretty ridiculous, chopping off 3 different sets, and then, you know, Plasma Blast would still have Dusknoir. That would be pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, this Sinister Hand is such a powerful ability. Being able to win games alone with Sinister Hand and teamed up with a variety of different cards. This is definitely a supporter type card. It doesn't really attack with Shadow Punch, but you know, it's really costly too. 4 energies for only doing 60 damage is just incredibly bad. And Dusknoir here is the ability alone makes it that good of a card, and it was pretty valued and high valued, and we even have a reprint and a secret rare version of it, which is great. So stage 2 Dusknoir definitely deserves the number 3 spot here on my list. Coming in at number 2, we have Blastoise, the 140 HP water type Pokemon. It's got the ability to deluge as often as you like during your turn before your attack. You can play a water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Same thing as Emboar. Of course, this guy came first. Emboar, well, actually, Emboar actually came out in the base set as well. But Deluge, you know, Blastoise came first technically with Rain Dance Blastoise all the way back in the base set Pokemon days. And we see here this was actually reprinted in the Plasma Storm set, but it was reprinted again in Legendary Treasures, reprinted again in Plasma Blast. There's a lot of prints of Blastoise, but the original one that came out was in Boundaries Crossed. The Hydro Pump attack is not really great. You have to invest 4 energies for Hydro Pump to only do 100 damage if they're all water. If they're like 2 colorless, 2 DCEs, you're only doing 60 anyways. Yeah, it's one of those cards where, you know, if you have, this is the only attacker, non-EX attacker, and you're facing against Sigilif or Suicune, you kind of have to resort to using Hydro Pump to knock out a Sigilif or a Suicune, and it can be pretty costly. So, but Deluge, again, that ability is just so powerful. Seeing it teamed up with something like, you know, Keldeo and maybe a Black Hurum, and then especially if you can pull off an Archie's Ace and Hold, you can get Blastoise out in turn 2 or turn 1 even, and being able to Deluge right away is really, really good. The combination of superior energy retrieval to get all the energies back is fantastic. Being able to just power up your Black Hurum EX or even your Keldeo EX. Rush in and retreat works out very well too with this kind of deck, this being a water tech. So Blastoise is definitely a number 2, if not possibly even number 1. And a lot of you guys might be thinking, what? Blastoise should be number 1. Well, I'll tell you guys why Blastoise is not number 1. Coming here at number 1, we have Empoleon, the 140 HP water type Pokemon with the ability Diving Draw and the attack command. And this guy is weak to lightning, has to retreat. Was reprinted in Plasma Freeze, but originally printed in Dark Explorers. This guy here is number 1 because of 2 things. One, I think his ability, although may not be as explosive as Blastoise, is more consistent. Say for example, you have Blastoise and you have Blastoise out and you just don't have a single energy in your hand. What use is that ability then? Nothing. Even if you're able to get, you know, energy retrieval, maybe you don't have any energies in the discard pile. Who knows what kind of scenarios it is. But with Empoleon, as long as you have a card in your hand, you can discard it and get 2 cards. And especially teamed up with Execute, you can actually just discard Execute, propagate Execute back to your hand, and then use it for something else. So the Diving Draw is a lot more consistent, and I think it's just a good draw support. Whereas like with Blastoise, if you're up against Seismitoad and Seismitoad hits you with a Quaking Punch, you can't use energy retrieval to get more energies. You can't use 2 Professor's Letter to get more energies. Of course, you can use Psyland, but that's for expanded. But then the problem here is with Diving Draw, right? Compared to the Blastoise, you basically lose a lot of options to get energies in your hand. And Empoleon, as long as you have, even Execute or just any card, you can use it to do Diving Draw up against something like Seismitoad or something that locks you from item cards. And so I think the ability is better than the Deluge in those kind of scenarios. And for one, the attack command is much better than Blastoise Hydro Pump. For only 1 water energy, you can use attack command and you put pressure on your opponent from not benching any Pokemon either. So I think there's a lot of value there with Empoleon. And then finally, of course, the Empoleon, I think it's much better, is, one, the retreat and the attack. But the simple fact that it is so flexible with other decks. You see, Blastoise typically is seen only in water decks. Of course, that's what makes his ability better. But Empoleon can get thrown into Flareon decks, can get thrown into Night March decks. You know, you can see Empoleon like in a variety of different decks. As long as you have one energy, you can use Archie's Ace and Home, things like that. And I think Empoleon itself just is that great of a card. So Empoleon is number 1 for me on my top 10 list of Stage 2 Pokemon in the Black and White era. So that's it for the video. What do you guys think of my top 10 list? If you guys have your own top 10 list, post it in the comments below, and then we'll see to it to have a great discussion. Let's go ahead and have a conversation. You guys all take care. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.